have you here to this operetta. We'd like to ask Bill Barlow to open this work. I'd like to introduce to you our cast, Paul Kurtz, a young pianist and composer, Benjamin Barlow. Professor von Valkenburg, a music teacher, Merrill D. Barlow.
Yes, I've been reading about it in the Spectrum.
Mitzi, his daughter, Rebecca Nielsen.
I see you developed this year.
Vernon Kendrick, an artist, Edgar Barlow.
Obviously.
Madam Elaine, a vocal teacher, Kayleen Quinton.
The stupidity of some people is amazing.
Lucky Chase, a dancer, Morley Barlow.
I never heard of a woman getting tired of using her voice.
Nancy Flynn, his dancing partner, Allison Joe Barlow.
I must away, and since my dream broke, is still practicing.
Zola Devon, a prima donna, Septa Cook.
Oh, madam, isn't he wonderful?
Cordelia Blossom, an old-time belle, Jane Darter.
He's so young and so good looking.
Willie Nelson, the building superintendent, Howard Barlow.
Well, that's fine.
Frederick Wagner, a concert impresario, Jeffrey Black.
You, if you are as good as they say, I will manage you on a coast-to-coast concert tour. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Frederick Wagner, impresario.
Ethelyn Ames, a singer, Cheryl Fisher.
I've never been to one of these before.
This play was written on the music of John Philip Sousa, and there's many of the songs that are on of his marches that we hope you recognize and know by name.
Music students find music day and night, striving hard to make a name. It's our fondest wish that in the music hall of fame, the universal hall of fame. Acrimonious, yet harmonious, striving for a common cause. Hoping to achieve, for we do believe we are worthy of applause. So we will win the world's applause. For the public is mad about music, never cares what produces the sound. One may bring a blue note from a hot trumpet stone, or the drums and the cymbals may pound. One may rage as a great virtuoso, if one blows orders to right place, or if one on a bench joy to dumb and noble, alone on a trombone, a song of bass, with a string clarinet or a violin, or it matters not on which to play. As long as it's a simple tune, melody, whistle and croon.
Play a simple melody, one that is mellow and is best played softly on a violin or cello, one with lovely harmony, that's never wanting in a haunting quality. When it is played legato, moderato, there's a feeling or one feeling, can't describe it, one can't hide it, it's the height of ecstasy. In seventh heaven I will live, so in the key of C, please play that simple melody. Play a simple melody, one that is mellow and is best played softly on a violin or cello, one with lovely harmony.
dear.
Thank you, madam.
Who are you?
I'm Ethelyn Haynes, but I'm not important.
I didn't think so. I know all the important singers. In fact, I teach them. Do you study?
Oh, yes. I just came from a lesson.
With whom do you study?
Madam Veronica upstairs.
That faker. She should be put out of business. She's ruined many good voices. You should study with me.
I can't afford you.
Nonsense. If you hope to achieve success, you should have only the best instruction. And the best is expensive. Look at Zola Devon, a great singer, the most sought-after prima donna in America and Europe. And why? Because she studied with me.
Mitzi von Valkenburg is a great singer, and she didn't study with you.
My dear girl, Mitzi von Valkenburg will never see the day when she will be vocalist Zola Devon is. Devon has fire. She's thrilling, dynamic. Poor little Mitzi, a little mouse with a sweet little squeak. Huh.
Her father, Professor Otto, is a great musician.
So he thinks. One of these days he'll break his arm from patting himself on the back.
Well, here I am, girls. Prepare to swoon.
Lucky!
Yes, you are when I'm around. By the way, where's my little Bible V? That's a good word. I must remember to use it more often.
Are you searching for a cute, a petite, a cunning, a sweet, a dreamy little number named Nancy Flynn?
I am. Say, since when has she meant all those things to you?
Do you want to make something of it?
No, but don't let it happen again.
Remember what I told you, Miss Ames. To achieve greatness, you must study with me.
Oh, Madame Tillet, let me study with you. I have a perfectly beautiful voice for calling hogs.
Never make a mistake of trying to be a singer when you are a dancer.
I'm not so sure I am a dancer, after what the manager of the theater said to me last night.
What did he say?
He said, Lucky, you sure get away with murder. If you didn't have Miss Flynn as a partner, you'd be non-existent. And I'm sure someone must have hit you with the horseshoe when you found her.
Ever since I've known you, you've always had good luck. Have you ever had any bad luck?
Let me think. Yes, I did, once.
Really?
Well, I was about 5 at the time, when I dropped a double chocolate and strawberry ice cream cone down a sewer.
Lucky, to what do you attribute your continued good fortune?
Lend thine ear, my dear, whilst I elucidate. I am known as Little Lucky by my friends and foes alike. They say all my bones are wishbones and each wish a lucky strike. They ponder and conjecture just why good luck comes my way. So at last I'll tell the reason for my 15 sobriquet. I'm the 7th son of a 7th son. That is why I am a lucky son of a gun. I have what it takes to get all the breaks, and I get them so my life is lots of fun. Through my family tree, it was plain to see that the population there was overdone. It's a family trait I must perpetuate, so one day there'll be another 7th son. I'm the 7th son of a 7th son. Consequently, all the ladies think I'm the one. I don't want to stay with another guy. When I come around, the girls come on the run. They will show no rage when I guess their age. Every insult I may offer, they will shun. When I say their face is just a vacant place, they think it's fun because I am a 7th son. I'm the 7th son of a 7th son, and his possibilities have only begun. Break the looking glass under ladder's clasp, all the silly superstitions I have done. And I've been looking for you, sweetheart.
Well, I don't know if we've been looking for each other for the same reason or not. I have something to impart to you, darling.
You tell me yours first. Trade last.
There are no compliments connected with what I have to say. You were terrible last night.
So the manager said.
And he could never have been more right in his life. What do you call what you were doing?
Dancing.
I have another name for it. Lazy loafing. Getting money under false pretenses. Now get yourself on upstairs and start practicing.
But, honey, I'm tired. I didn't rest too well last night.
If you don't brush up on your routine, you'll have all the time in the world to rest. Because you'll be retired permanently. So travel, angel face, and dance.
But, sweetie pie, I'll get by.
As long as you have me. But there could be some changes made.
I'm the seventh son of a seventh son.
Don't try your luck too far. Angle away.
I declare, Nancy bosses Lucky to such an extent before marriage that he has no surprises awaiting for him afterwards.
He knows it's for his own good. Whatever success they've had as a dance team, because Nancy's been the moving force. And actually, I think he enjoys her bossing.
I'd resent it. Lucky's nothing but a small-time dancer, and neither Nancy or anyone else can goad him to greatness.
Some have greatness thrust upon them.
I've always doubted that. Take me, for example. I'm an artist, and I believe a good one. At least so I've always been told. But I like that fire, that spark which makes for greatness.
What makes you so sure, Vernon?
It's one of those things one knows instinctively. And it's one of those things Zola Devon and I battle about constantly. She's trying to make a Rembrandt out of a competent painter.
Isn't it wonderful to have someone who has such confidence in you?
There's also such thing as common sense and sound judgment. Zola is truly a great singer. Even if she never had a bit of training, she'd be great. It's God-given. Others may study, practice, and work all their lives, and never rise above the level of mediocrity.
Well, since we're dealing in relative values, what would you say about my singing voice? Come now, no evasions. Be honest.
I intend to be. You sing splendidly, and you know how to use your voice. It has sweetness and clarity of tone, but...
Ah, now we have it. But what?
It lacks that fire, that spark, which I like. My painting lacks warmth, and so does your singing. But there might be a remedy.
Really? And what would you prescribe?
Perhaps what we both need is a great romance.
If I'm any observer of human nature, I'd say Miss Devon is devoted to you.
A romance would be great one must be a mutual feeling.
She's very attractive and famous.
I grant the attractiveness, but the fame does not impress me. But there is someone who might inspire me to do a really great work.
Indeed?
And perhaps I might teach her to sing, like a proverbial nightingale. Of course, you know whom I mean.
I haven't the slightest idea.
Oh, come now, Mitzi, we're not children, so let's not play games.
If you don't mind, Vernon,
Let's use of that second-rate pianist, or would-be composer.
I know no second-rate pianist, or would-be composer.
Oh, yes, you do. That refugee, Paul Kurtz.
Paul is a great genius, and the whole world will play and sing his music in a not-too-distant day.
Perhaps his music will not be acceptable to a part of the world.
What are you driving at?
People of his background are usually suspect.
That's ridiculous. You might as well call my dear father suspect, and he's of the same nationality as Paul.
Your father has lived in America for years. You were born here. He has long ago become a citizen and has proved his loyalty.
No more loyal than Paul Kurtz. Paul's as American as any American who ever lived. Why, right now he's composing a patriotic march.
Subterfuge, nothing more.
Oh, Mitzi. I've completed. Hello, Vernon.
Well, Herker, coming along?
Just fine. I've completed part of it. The final 32 measures. Isn't that, how do you say it, putting the cart before the horse?
That's done frequently. A climax is created, and then one goes back and builds toward it.
What are you aiming to do? Replace the national anthem?
Nothing could replace the Star-Spangled Banner. It's a thrilling piece of music.
There'll never be another Francis Scott Key.
Well, of course not. But I thought perhaps it's
Forget it, Kurtz. There'll never be another John Philip Sousa.
What's the matter with him? He seems determined to be unpleasant.
Don't pay attention to him. Let's talk about your music. What do you have there?
I've set down what I've been hearing in my brain over and over again. But it's got to have a beginning and a middle.
That will come. Have you set words to your melody?
Oh, yes. And I do hope they're the right words. At least they come from my heart.
Let's hear what you've done.
Long may our flag wave on high, as a sign that will always endeavor to live neath a star-spangled sky, and defend it till we die. Although some have gone to great length, it's a union that none can ever sever. In union there always is strength. Our battle cry, it is the Stars and Stripes forever.
That's wonderful, Paul. Sing it again.
Sing it with me.
Long may our flag wave on high, as a sign that will always endeavor to live neath a star-spangled sky, and defend it till we die. Although some have gone to great length, it's a union that none can ever sever. In union there always is strength. Our battle cry, it is the Stars and Stripes forever.
That's wonderful, Paul. Stirring. Why, that tempo and beat can make an old man throw aside his crutch and march like a boy.
You really think it's that good?
Now, if you get a verse, and perhaps a middle bridge, as good as that, you've got something. I feel it. I know it.
It pleases me more than I can tell you that you like it.
Paul, you're a great musician. A genius. You've got that divine spark.
Any success I might achieve will be entirely due to the help and encouragement of your father, and you too. And I might add also the affection both of you have shown for me. I only hope I prove to be worthy of your love, your trust, and your belief in me and my music.
I'm sure you'll always be worthy of our trust and our love.
Of your trust and your love.
I knew that someday someone would come along, someone to give me a start, someone to sing me a song, simple but straight from the heart. Words never spoken were certain to be heard, for something would have occurred. Some charming person met personality, one that instantly will appeal to me. I was sure this would be, now I know I'm not wrong, that someday someone would come along. There There'll be some king transpire when she's passing by to electrify, for I know I'll spy all the smoldering fire in her flashing eye to compel me, tell me to give my heart at last. My search is past, then to me and no other she will belong, when the right person comes along.
I knew that someday someone would come along, someone to give me a start, someone to sing me a song, simple but straight from the heart. Words never spoken were certainly be heard, for something would have occurred. Some charming person with personality, one that instantly will appeal to me. I was sure this would be. Now I know I'm not wrong, that someday someone would come along.
There'll be some king transpire when she's passing by to electrify, for I know that I will know that to no other she does belong, when the right person comes along.
Oh, pardon me. Don't mind me. Lucky and I did the same thing. Where'd we find the time?
There is Lucky. I haven't seen him around here today.
He's up in the studio dancing his full head off. I have to browbeat that man into any practicing.
It's a good thing he has you to spur him on. Every man needs the help and encouragement of some good woman.
That's what I think.
You and Lucky have been working together now for about a year, haven't you?
Just about.
Had you known each other before you started working together?
Never laid eyes on the man until one day he wandered into my studio while I was taking a lesson. Just wandered in, mind you, free as you please, and said, "I can do all those steps." So I said, "Show me." And he did. Of course he didn't do them as well as I did, but he got by.
So you engaged him to dance with you professionally?
No, he engaged me. He said, "I need a girl in my act with looks, personality, charm, and all that."
Well, there you were. Just what the doctor ordered.
That's what I told him. So we started working with the lazy loafer, and that brings us up to date.
Except for one thing. What started out as a professional partnership has become a romantic one.
Well, it's kind of hard to resist the guy. I mean, he's not very ambitious. He isn't overburdened with great talent. He's not very good looking. And yet, what's a girl to do?
May I suggest something?
Go ahead, suggest.
A wedding. Then you two will dance through life together.
It would probably be a dancing wedding, with the orchestra playing modern music instead of that traditional Lohengrin and Mendelssohn.
You know what I've always thought would be great?
What?
What? A military wedding. With a big brass band. With uniforms. Brass buttons. Trumpets trumpeting. Trombones tromboning. Drums drumming. And piccolos pickling.
Sounds swell.
Well, at any rate, it would be different.
When I'm married, let me say, I don't want the old tunes and play, which are rendered the same way. If I have to have Mendelssohn's, let's make it fun. Or if they do insist, I will have Lohengrin. But with plenty of din, I want to be married to the tune of a military band, for there is nothing else so good the greatest music in the world. So that's that. But when we get really through, therefore I want to say I do to a military band. I want to be married to the tune of a military band, for there is nothing else so good the greatest music in the land. There is no doubt that it's got something that thrills me through and through. Therefore I want to say I do to a military band. It was just little me, Professor. I was just telling Paul and Mitzi how I'd like to be married to the tune of a military band.
Well, sounds like a noisy beginning with a fanfare.
What do you think of Nancy's idea, Father?
Well, I've always thought that weddings should be quiet and simple. After all, it's a very solemn occasion for something that one does only once in one's lifetime.
That's what you think. Well, I must away and see if my dream boat is still practicing, or we'll be fired.
Don't worry about Lucky. He'll never starve.
That man can fall down a sewer and come up covered with ice cream.
Which reminds me, I was just going shopping for food when Paul and I became deeply interested in the discussion of his new march song. So, Father, what you've done, Paul, I'm sure he'll approve.
I hope so.
I shan't be gone long, Father, and when I return, we'll have a wonderful meal. The three of us, to celebrate the birth of a great monarch.
Is that the manuscript, my boy?
Yes, sir. It's the final movement.
Yes, I've heard you play this. It's good, Paul. Very good indeed.
I propose to begin it with an arresting introduction. Then a light tempo Di Marcia strain, played rather pianissimo. Then an interlude, or bridge as they say it here. Then build gradually as I increase to a double forte. Then climaxing with this strain, played grandioso for a massive finish. Do you approve, sir?
Fine, my boy. Very fine indeed.
I want it all to represent a sincere and practical expression of American patriotism.
There is no doubt that it will.
I've got to demonstrate my great gratitude for being able to live in America. And my music is my only medium of expression. Oh, the wonder and miracle of being here, to breathe this unpolluted air. I shall never cease being grateful.
I felt exactly the same way when I came here, many, many years ago.
And you never thought of going back?
Never. I met Missy's mother here, a charming girl, who came to me for a lesson on the pianoforte. The courtship was of a brief duration. I knew instantly she was the girl for me.
Yes, one knows almost instantly.
This became my home for all time. In its day, my old country was good. But times and things change. Sit here, Paul, and I will tell you many things, if you care to listen.
Of course, Herr Professor.
Where I was reared, land of my birth, it then appeared the best on earth. There could not be a place so dear to me as this old land of my nativity. I lived in a town in the fatherland, where I kept a watch on the Rhine, with neighbors so ready to give the glad hand. The place seemed exclusively mine, where the tempo of life was a lullaby. Each moment was one to adore, and living was graceful and life glided by, until one day there came a war. On the day when invaders came, we all made away, because our homeland could not be the same. Then we came fair, a friendly flag unfurled, and found a welcome in a new world. I thought to stay till it all was o'er, then return without delay. But I did not go home no more, for I had fun, like Johnny with his gun. A citizen I did become one. My old country was a fine country, but I'm so glad to be here. What country but this grand country could one be so free of fear? I'm satisfied just where I am, so I'll remain with my Uncle Sam, for all my old country was a fine country. I am so glad to be here.
Bravo, Professor, bravo. My sentiments exactly. It was exactly like my own experience. Except that perhaps you did not see your dear parents and their little sister massacred before your eyes.
Parents and sister massacred?
Yes, Professor Otto. And I myself shot down and left for dead.
No, I must say, I never experienced such a tragedy. If I had, I believe I would have gone completely mad.
I almost did. It was only the love and understanding and compassion that you and Mitzi bestowed upon me after I finally succeeded in getting to America that saved my sanity.
You've never spoken of this before, my son.
No, but somehow your own recital of your homeland brought it all back so vividly.
Maybe it is best that we do not discuss it further.
No, I'd like you to know. You see, my father was not in accord with the then current politics and refused to conform to the regime.
How history repeats itself.
Our entire family was put on the suspect list. We were kept under constant surveillance, either openly or surreptitiously. Wherever we went, invisible eyes were watching.
And then, one day, it all came into the open.
Yes, of course. How did you know?
The pattern is so familiar.
My parents had taken Elsa, my sister, and me on a day's outing in the wooded country several miles outside of the town. We were having a delicious repast Mother had prepared, and without any warning whatsoever, a detachment of soldiers bore down upon us, and the leader pointed an accusing finger at my father and declared that he was a traitor to his country.
And unless he joined the party, he would be executed.
Both father and mother protested that they believed in only what was just and right and good. Thereupon, the leader spat in my father's face and ordered his men to do away with us, that the country would be, well, rid of such as we. I shall never forget that moment. Everything seemed to go black before me as I heard the report of the guns, and I felt myself falling, as though to a great space.
How terrible. How very terrible.
Later, I gained consciousness. How long the time had intervened, I shall never know. We were all alone in those woods. The stillness was very frightening. I knew I had been wounded, but I could move and breathe. And I managed to crawl to where father and mother and Elsa were lying. I tried to revive them, but it was too late. The shock was so great that I again lost consciousness. And when I regained it, I was in a small cottage at the edge of this forest.
How did you get there?
I was found by a friendly man who carried me there, where his wife dressed my wound and cared for me. Well, he was a member of the party. He was a humanitarian and did not believe in the methods being used to enforce party politics.
I understand. He believed in progress without brutality.
He gave my family burial, and out of sheer sympathy and kindness, he and his wife helped me get across the border to a neutral country. There I remained until I could persuade a refugee committee to help me to get to America, where the only piece of good luck I'd ever had was to become acquainted with you and Mitzi.
It was a ghastly experience. Very ghastly.
Until the day I die, I shall carry the reminder with me. Here. The beast who shot me had an inaccurate aim.
It just missed you.
I shall never forget that face of the leader of that detachment of soldiers. That face is indelibly engraved on my brain. That cruel, horrible face. And now you know why all of this seems like heaven on earth to me, and why I want to give it my music as a token of my gratitude and esteem.
Yes, Paul, I know. I know very well indeed.
Good afternoon, Professor von Valkenburg.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nelson.
And Mr. Kurtz.
How do you do, Mr. Nelson?
Finding you two together and alone is most opportune, for as the superintendent of this building, I have to do a little investigating. I hope you both cooperate.
We'll do whatever we can. What is the nature of this investigation?
Well, I hardly know what to say. It's a little embarrassing.
You have no cause for embarrassment with us, Mr. Nelson.
To come to the point, as you both probably know, there has been an investigation of groups and individuals suspected of antisocial, un-American activities.
Yes, I've been reading about it in the Spectrum.
Well, a committee has approached me, knowing that this building is well populated with artists of foreign extraction, and have asked me to do a little inquiring as to the loyalty of these people.
You know how some people are, ones of French, Chinese, Japanese. Yes, even Hindu or Turkish origin. They suspect that they're perhaps not wholly American.
Why, America is made of people of foreign extraction. It's the great melting pot. That's what makes it so wonderful.
Mr. Nielsen, you can assure your committee that neither I, my daughter, or any of my friends, including Mr. Kurtz, are anything but 100% loyal. Why, even just now, Mr. Kurtz was telling me of his great gratitude for being allowed to live here. It's a great place to live, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
It's such fun, too.
If only you knew how much fun. And in my native land, the law fell into a bandit's hand. A few who got evasing sought a home in the USA. The day I sailed up New York Bay, I knew that I was here to stay. It's such fun to be free, where you can go walking down the street, not fearful of anyone you meet, where boy and girl can be a person with individuality. Skies always seem so fair, where you can breathe unpolluted air, and there is no one to question where you may reside. They do not care. Don't have to whisper low in cautious tones anywhere you go, and answer yes when you're thinking no. Your cup of joy will overflow. It's such fun to be free, where people can laugh and shout out loud and mingle with any kind of crowd. We say unduly, forever in this sweet land of liberty.
Yes, sir. I shall tell those boys not to come poking their noses around here for any un-Americans, for we don't have any offbeat musicians or singers here.
What is the meaning of all this hilarity in this courtyard?
I beg your pardon, madam. We were just having a mutual agreement on a certain subject.
There's only one thing I've known men to grow hilarious about, and that's women.
They may grow hilarious about women without being in agreement. Oh, by the way, Mr. Kurtz, this letter just came for you. Seeing as I was coming downstairs, I thought I'd bring it. I almost forgot.
Thank you, sir. It's from the Frederick Wagner Music Bureau.
He has built himself a wonderful reputation as a concert manager, even though he has been in America a relatively short time.
He has lately acquired the management of some of our best artists. My star pupil, Zola Devon, has lately transferred all her bookings to his guidance.
He wants to hear me play.
An audition? Well, you are in luck to even be noticed by him.
That means I shall have to practice day and night.
Well, not at night, please. I want to get some sleep.
Come with me, Professor, and help me select the numbers which I must work on.
I shall be glad to, my boy. If you will excuse us, please. Yes, of course.
Certainly.
Think of it, Professor. An important management is interested in me. Isn't it all too wonderful?
The professor's a great old gentleman, and the young man seems all right, too.
A bit too enthusiastic for my taste. But if Wagner agrees to handle him, his future will be made.
Well, that's fine.
By the way, Mr. Nelson, I have a complaint to register.
Really? What about? It can't be the lack of heat at this time of year.
No. It's about you. You used to drop in and see me occasionally. I would have such nice, cozy chats over pots of coffee. Now, why have those visits stopped?
They haven't. I dropped in 2 nights ago.
But not last night. You know, Mr. Nelson, for all my activity, I'm really a very lonely person, living all alone in the studio.
I've often wondered why you lived in your studio. I should think you'd want to get away from it after the long, nerve-wracking days you put in with your students.
Where else would I live?
Well, I don't know. I guess one place is like another in the city.
Oh, I don't know. That all depends. since I retired from the stage, I've had sort of a dream castle in mind. I've been doing research on all architecture, medieval, also old colonial, and I can't find the proper kind of building that's correct to fit the plan I have in mind. In my imagination, I can see one for me, and so I want a mansion built of ecstasy, a dream house situated in the sky. I will build away from the crowd, way up in a cloud where no one's allowed. I will pay for it with my schemes, for I've got a pocket full of dreams. I'll dwell in, excel in, rapture so divine, for I will know the place is mine. One relaxes, no taxes, nothing to declare, and not a bit of wear and tear. When I'm sure the right plan I've got, I'll select the spot, some dream corner lot, and no edifice will compare with my lovely castle in the air. I'll be happy when I prepare to construct my castle in the air.
That sounds great, madam.
Yes, it would be quite a shack if ever I achieved it.
And what's to stop you?
The stupidity of some people is amazing. Some people have a special talent for arriving at the wrong moment.
I'll see you later, madam.
Have I done something I shouldn't have?
Think nothing of it, Zola. There are other days.
I've come to see Vernon. And you too, of course.
Oh, of course.
I'm simply bursting with news, and I think Vernon should be the first to know. Oh, madam, isn't he wonderful?
Who?
Why, Vernon, of course. And it's all because of you.
Oh, I had nothing to do with making him wonderful.
I mean that you introduced us. Just think, I might never have met him, even though I come here frequently. What a divine moment when we met and I knew.
Was it a divine moment for him?
Oh, I'm sure it was. How could it help but be? You know that I've had scads and heaps of admirers, that I could have my choice by just nodding my head or snapping my fingers. But I've never had the urge to nod or snap. And then came Vernon.
You got it in a malignant form, my girl.
I know, and it's divine. Magic there for us. facetious, old darling. I must have Vernon the news. Vernon!
Yes, who is it?
As if you didn't know. It's your Zola.
Zola, I'm frightfully busy.
Let's step back for a moment. I have news that will not surprise you. Madam may hear this also, as I have no secrets from her. Besides, seeing the young man in question has a studio just across the courtyard, I think you should both know.
You mean Paul Kurtz?
Yes. You've always suspected him of unsavory politics. Well, you were right.
What do you mean?
Well, last night, I was going across town in a taxi when we got in a traffic jam in that horrible section where so many dreadful-looking foreigners live. We were stopped right in front of a hall where those unsavory characters hold their anti-everything meetings.
The Apollo Hall on West Street?
Yes. And who should be coming out with two of the dirtiest, weirdest-looking characters you ever saw? The little piano player over there.
I've always thought so.
He's always a little too vociferous about patriotism. It doesn't ring quite true.
Well, now you know.
You seem to have your hands full. May I help?
You'd be good enough to open the door for me.
Gladly.
Do you suppose she heard?
Well, she'll know sooner or later, then perhaps she might.
Come on, Lucky.
What are you trying to do? Kill me?
No, but I'll sure make a dancer out of you.
Practice never hurt anyone. Some days I rehearse hours and hours at a time.
You're lucky. You don't have to use your feet. And I never heard of a woman getting tired of using her voice.
Well, I must away, now that I've broken the news to you.
Thank you for coming, Zola. It really wasn't news. And on your way out, you might impart your story to Mr. Nielsen, superintendent.
Gladly. Toodaloo all, and to you, Vernon, a nice, chaste kiss.
What a gorgeous girl. Wow.
Well, she can sing, thank fortune.
What's all this news that really isn't news for you? Are we missing something?
What would you say if you heard that Paul Kurtz was engaged in un-American activities?
I wouldn't believe it.
Neither would I, and I don't think much of anybody would start the story unless they knew positivity.
Now you're shouting.
If anyone ever accused me of such a thing,
What would you do?
I am a peaceful kind of man. I try to live as best as I can, but if I am pushed and shoved around, there's only one course that I have found. Positively just stand up and fight with all your might.
When they tread upon your toes, why everybody knows you
have the right to stand up and fight. Stand up and we don't want to fight, but you can bet your friend all your might to stand up for all the things we do believe to be right, and we will never really stand up and fight. Stand up and fight. If they insist, put up your fist with all your might. For it is your right. You have the need, so show us please stand up and fight.
We'll soon see what we shall see. Herkert, it's Vernon. Would you mind stepping out here for a moment? On the car, Vernon. Stick around, this might be interesting.
The professor and I were just going over some music which I must play for an audition.
Sorry to disturb you, but this won't take long. Herkert, whether you know it or not, I am 100% American.
Well, of course you are. Aren't we all?
Are you?
I did not have the good fortune to be born here as you did, but I don't think anyone can doubt my sincere affection for the country of my adoption.
That's saying it.
If, as you say, you are sincere, Then why were you seen at a subversive meeting in the Apollo Hall on West Street? You don't deny you were there, do you?
I know. Certainly not.
You are not a citizen of the United States.
Not as yet. But I certainly intend being a citizen as soon as possible.
Do you believe wholeheartedly in our government?
Have I had a question to ask? Certainly I believe in it. It's not entirely perfect.
So you and your fellow travelers want to perfect it. Is that it?
I don't know what you're driving at.
What was this meeting you attended last night?
It was a get-together of our fellow countrymen. A purely social gathering, that's all. We sang the old songs and I played for them. And it was all quite jolly.
A likely story.
Which I happen to believe. Now, what do you think about that?
Don't you know, Mr. Kurtz, that Apollo Hall has a bad reputation for housing all sorts of un-American activities?
No, Mr. Nelson, I didn't know.
Everyone knows your kind. All this fine talk about writing Great American March Song is a cover-up for your real feelings. You can't hoodwink me into the way you have Professor Otto and his trusting daughter. You're nothing but an underhanded...
You take that back!
Traitor, traitor, for this insult you will pay.
You will have to answer to the USA.
Yes, 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 yes.
Oh, how could you be so unworthy, dealt in such deceit? In spite of all the ones like you, this land will never know defeat. Oh, how could you be so unworthy, deal in such deceit? In spite of all the ones like you, this land will never know defeat. It's such fun to be free. Take your marching down the street, not care for anyone you meet. Where boy and girl can be a person with individuality.
I'll prove to you how wrong you are about me, and I'll never stop until I've cleared my name and established complete faith.
Only I can believe you, Paul.
You must, Mitzi, you must. And I'll keep on until I've achieved my great ambition to compose a great American march song, one that will stir every red-blooded American. It will be wait and see.
Stand up and find. Myth all your mind.
Tread upon your toe while everybody knows.
You have the right to stand up and fight.
Stand up and fight.
With all your moving, might you stand up?
All the time and right. To stand up and fight.
Just
Again, we ask that you not bring food into the auditorium, but we will give you a chance to stand up and fight your way up the hall and buy some. And we'll give you about a 20-minute break to eat it, and then we'll start again on the second act. Thank you.
I've never been to one of these musical Mardi Gras before. It's delightful.
They have them every year at this time. They're similar to a Christmas office party. Only here, everyone stays sober.
And they give awards in the various arts for the best work of the year.
Instead of Christmas presents, and just as useless.
They're all here this afternoon. Even old Cordelia Blossom.
You couldn't keep that old dame away from anywhere where there's free food and a good time for nothing.
She's quite a character. What was she? An artist? A painter? A writer?
No, just an old-time belle.
Well, the old bell has surely cracked.
That sounds like Miss Blossom now.
She always sends out storm warnings before she arrives. And here is Hurricane Cordelia herself.
Oh, there you are, you nice, nice man. And you too, you darling girl. Having fun?
Yes, indeed. And you?
I wouldn't miss one of these musical Mardi Gras for anything. I've always been a patron of the arts. I remember during the war.
Sybil?
No, revolutionary. As I was saying when you interrupted me, you froze. During the war, right in this building, they gave the most marvelous musical for the flood sufferers.
Johnstown?
No, Noah's.
I was just asking Nancy and Lucky if you'd ever been an artist of any kind.
No, just a social butterfly of long ago. A bell. Liberty. Brother, if you think you can insult me, you're nuts. Behold in me a sight to see, a remnant of aristocracy.
Blossom, you're really a bud who's come full flower.
And you, my dear Mr. Chase, go chase yourself. Miss Blossom, I see you didn't fail us this year, or any other year, as long as I am ambulatory. My, but you look sweet.
Thank you, Miss Blossom. And I must say, you look as lovely as of old. What an attractive dress. Is it new?
My dear girl, this old rag is really battle-scarred.
Gettysburg.
Ah, my little maid, you are wasting your time trying to dance in the theaters. You should be entertaining elsewhere. At the morgue.
You asked for it.
And got it.
And where's your dear father? I haven't seen him as yet.
Oh, he's mulling around in some music studio. You know, a best man's holiday.
I thought of him the other night. He'd have been simply thrilled. A friend of mine who loves music as I do has been telling me about impromptu concerts that are held at the Apollo Hall on West Street. It isn't a very desirable section of town, but we decided to go, you know, as one goes slumming.
I understand.
It seems that many refugees gather there for sociability, and those who are gifted are persuaded to entertain their fellow countrymen with native music and the like. Well, my dear Mitzi, I want to tell you that never in my born days, and I've been around a few, have I heard such a pianist. And I've heard them all. Yes, even Paderewski.
Never heard of him. What's he do?
Lucky. He was a piano player.
Who is this pianist?
I can't think of his name at the moment. Some of his compatriots just dragged him up on the rostrum, sat him down at the piano, and ordered him to play. And play he did. I've never been more enchanted. And he was so young and so good looking.
Control yourself, Blossom, old girl, or you'll burst into bloom.
I've got it.
Well, hold on to it.
The pianist's name was Kurtz. Yes, Kurtz. Why, darling girl, what's the matter with you? Are you ill?
No, not at all. I'll see if I can find Father and tell him you're inquiring for him.
What came over her?
You were telling her about Paul. Paul Kurtz, the man she's in love with.
She's in love with that wonderful, that marvelous pianist. Oh, I should think she would be. That boy could melt the heart of a stone goddess. My, how warm it is in here.
Cool off, Rosebud.
Well, if she's so in love with him, why was she so upset when I mentioned his name?
Well, he used to have a studio over there. But about a month ago, he was seen coming out of that very hall where you saw him. So he was accused of un-American activities.
That boy, un-American? Stuff and nonsense. Rubbish and rot. I've known a few men in my time.
I'll bet you have.
And I'm a pretty good judge of them. That boy hasn't got a wrong or insincere bone in his body. And anyone who says he has is a liar.
Hooray for our side.
We've always been convinced he was innocent.
Why, he played a new march he'd written, and it tore the house down. They cheered, they stomped and whistled, and anyone who could compose such a march of patriotism is American through and through. I don't care if he was born in cane beds.
Hooray and a couple of hips.
Who made this accusation against Mr. Kurtz?
Vernon Kendrick.
The artist?
Sure.
That's right.
Well, I'll soon set him straight. Mr. Kendrick, are you there?
she'll let you have it. But good.
No, I'm lucky that way with the ladies. They never get mad at me. It's the way I have, little one. That's what won you. That's why you took such a fancy to me.
And what makes you think I've taken such a fancy to you?
Because I have taken such a fancy to you, dear. It's a state of mind that has me fancy free. There is nothing in this world I wouldn't do, dear, since you've taken such a fancy to me. And you must admit I'm feeling courageous when I make a promise that I will be true. For the way you fold me over is outrageous. That's why I've taken such a fancy to you. Fancy you, fancy me. Oh joy and oh ecstasy, I get romancy. Make advancy, take a chancey. You'd agree to matrimony. I will get down on my bended knee. Then you will hear such a plea to be my Nancy. I'll be in a trancy, fancy or fancy me.
Fancy me, fancy you. Seems odd, but it sure is true. I get romancy, make with song and dancing. You did that, you see, with just one glancy. We have cracked up, so all this must be backed up by action, for we are in a trancy. So I'll be your Nancy, fancying you're fancying me. For I've taken such a fancy to you, dear. And like you, I am completely fancy free. All the boys I know, there are only a few, dear, who have stimulated fancy in me. And I know you'll think I'm acting outrageous when you notice all the things I say and do. But the melody is really so contagious.
That's why I've taken such a fancy to you. Fancy you, fancy me. Oh joy and oh ecstasy, I get romancy, make a fancy, take a do agree to matrimony. I will get down on my bended knee. Then you will hear such a plea to be my Nancy. So I'll be our Nancy, fancy or fancy me.
In my little studio, rather than gather around that buffet with all that mob.
Yes, indeed. Seems nice and homey to an old bachelor like me.
And why have you remained a bachelor?
Because no woman ever took the trouble to show me the error of my ways.
I see. Nelson seems so formal. Do you mind if I call you William or just plain Bill?
You may call me by my right name, which is Willie. Mother didn't like William. She liked Willie. So I became Willie.
Sit here, Willie, and I'll tell you a little secret. My name isn't Tilly at all. It's Tilly, just plain Tilly.
I like that. Nice and simple.
And if you promise never to breathe it to a living soul, I'll tell you the rest of my name.
Cross my heart.
It's Tinklepaw. Can you imagine such a moniker in electric lights over a theater?
Well, lot of electricity.
So I just became Madame Slay.
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't care what your name is or what it has been, because I have taken quite a fancy to you. And to save my life, I never can think why. For it never did occur to me that you, dear, would be someone who would get in my eye. For you're not the type I always had wanted to come home to when my daily work was through. So I wish you'd pointed out why I'm so haunted, and I have taken such a fancy to you. Fancy, you fancying me, cockeyed, but yet it's true. I get so silly over you, my Tilly. Yes, I'll follow through, just willy-nilly, in a bad way, when you disappear. That way, whenever you're near, I'll be new. But now somehow it's new, just fancying and fancying you.
Fancying me, fancying you. Big boy, if only you knew. And darling Willie, you are not a dilly. And for sure is true. For willy-nilly, I'm a crackpot, and I've never hit jackpot, but you must be it, for I get warmed in Tilly is so silly, fancying me, fancying you. But I've taken quite a fancy to you, dear, and I know I must be slightly off the beat. While I've done it, won't you give me just a clue, dear? It must be that things are not as they seem. You are just the type when your hair and empty will have parted from your head without ado. You have not a gift physique, so I just must be weak, for I've taken
Such a fancy to you.
Another sandwich, Willie?
Don't mind if I do, Tilly. What business is it of yours?
I'm making it my business.
Obviously.
The very idea of you accusing that wonderful young man of being un-American. What grounds do you have?
People are judged by the company they keep.
And who judges them? Stupid people. No, I haven't finished.
Do you ever finish?
That boy is as American as I am. And I was born in Iowa, raised in Ohio, educated in New York, and I have lived in Boston, Philadelphia, and California. If that doesn't make me American, I don't know what could.
You could have been married somewhere on the eastern track, say Pennsylvania or New Jersey.
That's my business. The point I'm trying to get across is, are you so above reproach that you can afford to put the finger on someone else? Some motive prompted it, and I can guess that it was jealousy.
And why should I be jealous of Paul Kurtz?
Because he's a genius, a great genius. I've never been more thrilled.
I'm afraid you thrill easily.
And who is this great genius? Can it be what I've missed?
You usually manage to get all the great ones eventually, Mr. Wagner. That's why I'm under your management.
You're one of my star attractions.
I would have liked the compliment better if you said I was your greatest star attraction.
Well, you're right up there with the big drawing cards.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner.
You were speaking of a great genius who has thrilled you. Was it he or she? And what did he or she do? Play, sing, dance, act?
A pianist and also a composer. He's young, obviously continental, with an idealistic face which shows a beautiful soul. But his playing, believe me, Miss Mr. Wagner, I've heard them all in my time. But this boy, well...
His name. I must have his name. Did you get it?
Kurtz.
Oh, Kurtz.
Where did you hear him?
At the Apollo Hall on West Street.
Why, that's where I saw him. You know, Vernon.
I remember.
It's a dreadful place, filled with strikers and nonconformists, and gracious knows what. What were you doing there?
Seeing how the other half of the world lives. So I want to become small and little.
Dreadful characters frequent that place.
They're everywhere, even here.
I heard about this boy Wunder, and I had my office write him a note to this address, asking him to have an audition. But I had no reply. Does he still live here?
He was asked to vacate on account of his politics.
Which is a doubtful question.
I'm not interested in politics, only in talent. If he's as good as you say...
Better.
I must have him. Where can he be reached? Does anyone know? The only person who might know is Professor Otto von Valkenburg.
Or his daughter. I'm told she was quite smitten. And who can blame her?
I must talk with Professor von Valkenburg. He's not there just now. I saw him milling around down with the students. I must find him.
I'll help you.
Thank you, Miss Flower.
Mother's little helper. Dreadful old Cromo. I mustn't say that, for one day I shall be old.
Never like that. Oh.
One can never tell.
I can't imagine you as anything but young, vibrant, and glamorous.
Today I am Zola Devon, the great prima donna. Tomorrow, just suppose that my career has been handled without a blunder, and each fine and wonderful year brings admirers and nothing can sunder, and the public does declare their acclaim with applause like thunder. You're infallible beyond compare. They all swear you are simply a wonder. But one day there comes such a scare when your voice betrays its worth, and you make some poor excuse. But your foes say, oh, what's the use? She is through and she ought to know just how far a voice will go. They'll debate and wait to see how much longer you can strike, I see. Just suppose all this came true, and you find that you are declassing. It is grief that no one but you have to bear when you know you are passing. When you see the old doors close, and you no longer ride as classic, so in time you'll become one of us. Who suppose, just suppose.
I say, we were in a mood today. What brought this on?
You.
I? What have I done?
It's what you haven't done, Vernon. Why can't you care for me? I mean, really.
And who says I don't?
Don't be evasive. I know. I didn't at first. I thought perhaps it was a mutual attraction. But I found I was completely wrong. Be honest. Why is it?
I admire you tremendously as a singer. You're a great star, a public institution. I don't want to live in an institution.
There's someone else?
Perhaps. She doesn't care. And there we have it.
Now we know.
Now we know. Oh, Mitzi, Frederick Wagner is looking for your father.
Thank you. No, I know.
Come on, Professor. Thomas.
But what do you want me to do?
Dance.
But I don't know any of your newfangled dances. All I can do is waltz.
Then waltz.
But who would want to waltz with an old man like me?
I'd be very happy to, Professor von Valkenburg.
Thank you, my dear, but you will find me mighty rusty. I haven't waltzed since I was a young man, in my old country, in the army. We used to have waltzes at the post. I remember one, we called it the Waltz Militaire.
Show us.
As soon as taps sound on the night air, they all disperse without a care to forget the militaire. But every one of them will go there. You think the waltz is so sublime, that it's a march in 3/4 time. The man makes it live and roll. Just like a roll, he makes it roll. And how the sweet new trumpets play to the great calls that is militaire. There's nothing so enchanting as this lovely waltz from both my mistresses long ago. It has a stirring something that exalts and sets the dancers all aglow. And when one hears its lovely tune, one is aware that it suggests a soldier's on parade. There's no denying there's a martial flair in any tempo with his play. Nobody can compare. None is aware of his declare. Every man in the land will swear that it's a great waltz that is militaire.
Yes, Mitzi, and proudly too. I brought this to you.
It's your song. Been published. Oh, Paul, it's wonderful.
I played and sang it as an impromptu concert, and it went over magnificently.
So I heard.
Really? From whom?
Miss Blossom. She's a patroness of the arts. She's here today at the musical Mardi Gras. Oh, Paul, I'm so proud of you.
Are you?
Of course I am. And Father will be delighted. He's always believed in you.
Yes, he believed in me about everything, when others doubted.
I declare that girl has danced me to exhaustion. Paul! Paul, my boy, I'm so glad you've come back, but I knew you would.
This March song has been published.
Let me see it. Let me examine it.
It just came off the press today. I'm told that every band and orchestra in the world will play it.
It's good, Paul. Very good.
Whereas I live and breathe, there is the young genius himself, in person. Allow me to introduce myself, Mr. Kurtz. I am Cordelia Blossom, and I heard you play in concert recently at the Apollo Hall. And never before in my life have I been so completely carried away.
Thank you, Miss Blossom.
You are great, magnificent, superb. Oh dear, I'll run out of adjectives.
And if you are as good as they say, I will manage you on a coast-to-coast concert tour. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Frederick Wagner, impresario. I know you. I don't recall ever meeting you.
It's that face! That cruel face! That horrible face!
Who is he?
You are the fiend who ordered the massacre of my beloved family. You gave the order for the shots to be fired and killed my dear parents and my little sister.
Are you out of your mind?
Yes, I am when I think of that horrible day. Father, mother, sister, and brother picnicking in the woods, when you and your squad of soldiers came along and ordered my father to support the current politics in which he did not believe. Now do you remember?
You was a...
Brother, you meant to have me killed also, but I did not die. I lived, and I shall keep on living until I have avenged their deaths. I shall not stop until you have paid in full. Now get out of my sight before I forget myself and trouble you with my bare hands.
Take away his mouth!
From murderer to impresario, why, I'd rather beg in the streets or die of starvation than to play for such a fiend as you. Get out of here!
I shall withdraw from his management immediately, contract or no contract. I couldn't dream of appearing further for such a beast.
You poor dear boy. I wonder that you could play a note.
Professor, I waited until this day knowing that everyone would be here. Most of those concerned with what I have to say are present, but there are several more. Mr. Kendrick?
Yes?
Will you step out here, please?
Right away.
Now where can I find Mr. Nelson?
Bill here of late, he has been spending a great deal of time with Madame today.
I would have both of them here.
Who is it?
Paul Kurtz, would you be good enough to step out here for a moment? And if Mr. Nelson is with you, I should like to see him also.
Well, the prodigal has returned.
Well, of all people. And what do you want?
About a month ago, I was falsely accused of being interested in un-American activities, simply because I had attended a get-together at the Apollo Hall.
Why, that's a fascinating place. And such interesting people.
Everyone doubted me, except the professor, and Lucky and Nancy. Mr. Nelson even asked me to vacate my studio until I'd cleared myself of any suspicion. Well, I've done that. Mr. Nelson, look this over.
What is it?
It's a letter from the proper authorities attesting to my loyalty.
So it is.
All my fellow countrymen, the ones that were seen with me at the Apollo, journeyed with me to Washington, where we told the committee of the accusations against us. We demanded that they check and double-check every move that we've made since we've been on these hospitable shores. The result is shown in that letter. Would you care to see it, Mr. Kendrick?
I'll take your word for it.
I also promised that I would write an American march song. Not only have I done so, but today it came off the press. For your perusal, Mr. Kendrick.
I'd like to see the copy, if I may.
With pleasure. My publisher is sure that it will sweep the country.
It's bound to. Sing it for us, won't you please, Mr. Kurtz? It's exciting.
If Meaty helps out.
But I don't know all of it. You can read notes, can't you? It looks thrilling. I'll sing it at all of my concerts.
Wait till you hear it. It'll loosen your bridge work.
One day a girl named Betsy Ross took up her needle and her thread, and out of red and white and blue I'll make an emblem for our land, she said. Her fingers flew, soon she was through, and in Philadelphia, old Philadelphia, she displayed what she had made, a flag of a tricolored hue.
Red and white were the bars and 13 stars on a background of deepest blue. So designed when the tri-shades were combined, it produced a sight that thrilled us through and through.
And her sewing bee in Art Street, bend a flag was made by hand, has made every street a March Street in each corner of the land.
In almost every year, 4 years to come, and the star was added. In the upper velvet morning, Elvis face of 48 was added.
When it is flown in any nation, it's sure to cause a great sensation. Even the hostile rulers do expect to treat it with respect. Long may our flag wave on high, as a sign that will always endeavor to live neath the star-spangled sky, and defend it till we die. That's all right, Kendrick.
I was jealous over Mitzi. I've always cared for her, and you were her preference. I used the only weapon I knew of. It wasn't very big, I know.
It was my fault for telling him about you coming out of that hall on West Street.
You should go there sometime and hear some people who can really sing. You could learn something.
And I'd like to add that perhaps I was a little too hasty in my judgment, but we all make mistakes. Your studio's still vacant. I'd like you to occupy it.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. I intend to occupy it.
We'll all be neighbors, for Mr. Nelson and I are going to occupy my studio as Mr. and Mrs. Nelson.
Is what I've been hearing true? It is. Welcome home and see that you stay here.
Thank you, Lucky.
Same here, pal. Only I won't shake hands.
Just one and no more. You know, this is really my lucky day. You're back where you belong, and Nancy has finally succumbed to my charms and named the day. Is everything okay? I mean, you're in the clear?
With the official sanction of Washington.
I'll bet Cordelia knew him.
I knew them both. He makes instant coffee and she makes candy. Think you're smart, don't you, you little grasshopper?
You'll learn.
How could I've ever doubted you, Paul?
Well, see that it doesn't happen again. And let that be a lesson to you.
When the awards are given out today, I propose that the highest award for musical composition be given to Paul Kurtz for his magnificent march song.
Thank you, sir. But I never could have achieved it without your belief and support. And I shall strive to do even better things. Things that are worthy of this great nation, where all of us should live together as friendly friends and neighborly neighbors, regardless of race, color, or creed.
So now the day is o'er and we will sing once more the melody that every man should know.
And as our voices ring with pride, we bring the big finale of the show. Long may our flag wave on high, as a sign that will always endeavor to live beneath the star-spangled sky and defend it till we die. Although some have gone to great lengths, it's a union that none can ever sever. In union there always is strength. Our battle cry is the stars and stripes forever.
We got started a little bit late on this production towards the end of the year, I mean, late. And I told them, turn this thing here. That's not what I told them. I told them that they were going to have to do it, and they have, and I've been really proud of them. They've had about a week of learning how the lines and the songs, and then they had a week of practice, and then they had a week of performance, and that's about what we've been into time-wise. And they've really done some fine work. Some of those that have worked overtime on it that I wanted to introduce you to tonight, and I've been introducing them each night, was Ben Barlow and Merrill Barlow and Carl Barlow and Rulia, and some other people who have helped on the stage, helped Guy Jessup, who's done the painting on the stage, and I appreciate those students very much because they put in a lot of long hours. John Johnson, will you come and dismiss it?
Father in heaven, we come before Thee at the close of this exercise. We're thankful for the privilege of meeting together under these favorable circumstances and enjoying these productions from our young people here at home.